for joining us today. As you might have heard, we've got a couple of people, TSANet staff. I've got Paul Esch and Stephanie Benson with me on this webinar. And as with most of the ones that we do, I don't know that we'll take up the full 30 minutes. But what I'd like to do is we've got some slides I want to walk you through, and then I want to give you just a short view, tactical view of how you do some of this stuff. Outside of the intro to TSANet calls, which is the real high level of what is TSANet and what is it all about, this is probably the next topic that comes up, which is, okay, well, I'm a member of TSANet, and I kind of get what that means now in relationship to being able to work with other companies. But when I get into how do other companies actually do that? How do I get them to engage me, and what is the process I want to use? And if I'm going to do outbound calling to another member company, how does that really happen? And can I guide my engineers through that? This is where that comes into play. So I want to walk through a couple of slides, give you a tactical view of this, and I think you'll get a lot out of this. So how we see that from a TSANet perspective, how do we see the world of our members? We've kind of broken this down into three different categories. We've got the business manager, the program manager, and then key users. Within the TSANet system, what we define is a business manager, a program manager, and then callers. But when I look at this more at a strategic level, and it's going to obviously vary a little bit between companies, whether they're larger companies or smaller companies, and obviously we have a vast array of size of technology companies that are part of TSANet. But typically when we get into looking at a company, we look at the business manager person as having that role of being the strategic person. So they're looking at okay, this is how I'm going to use TSANet, the different relationships that I have. I want to make sure that I've got the right people that are involved in this. So we define a business manager as someone that is looking at these business relationships. They would then may have program managers underneath them that they would set up to work particular relationships with particular companies, but they're also going to be the ones that are going to look and, okay, we want to make sure that we've got the right people understanding TSANet and the right people that can educate other people within our company. So that's kind of how we define the business manager in it. The program manager would be somebody that would be looking at a specific relationship or a set of relationships. They would be wanting to also set up people that would see these relationships and maybe do some customization of that, including how that process is for those companies or company coming into being able to collaborate with them. So they have administration capabilities as well, which we'll talk about. And then key users could be very well escalation managers. And again, those are people at maybe a little bit more of a tactical level, but they'd also be somebody that would be responsible for making sure that, hey, when you need to get a hold of this other company and work with them, this is how you do it, and this is how you should train your other engineers to know how to do that. So they would also be people that may have administration capabilities into the system, but they're also key users within the support structure that understands TSANet, understands how it works, and can be able to relay that information on to other people. Paul, anything you want to add to that particular piece of it, or did I get that covered pretty well?
No, I think you covered it well. I would just stress the importance of the key user, because we do see a lot of members that when they're successful, it is because they've got these key users in place. So definitely place some focus on that.
Exactly, and we'll talk about how we can help you here a little bit later on in this presentation to make sure that you understand how we see the key users as a very key part of TSANet, especially in the promotion of it and how it's worked. So that kind of ties us into the other aspect of this, and as you're probably aware, there's two ways to look at TSANet, right? The one is the inbound side. I'm receiving a call from another member that I need to work with, and then I need to place a call to another member. So what we've done is we've actually kind of started to get away a little bit from this thing that we call group logins, and really we're being driven by that, by a lot of the Data Protection Act stuff and things like that are moving forward. So we've gone into to looking at how those users get access into the database and how we can keep that really simple. And so what we've done is really this falls into these two categories here. So there's call or support engineers that they're now able to create their own accounts. Now there's a lot of customization that we can do with this, and we can certainly work with your company on how exactly you want that to happen. It can be a totally automated process, but it's got some protection in place on it that if they come in and they're not using your domain or something like that with an email address associated with your domain, they're not going to get access into your account. But there is a self-registration process they can go through where you don't have to always go in and administrate that. We've got some links here. Stephanie will be sending out these slides to everybody that's on the call, and we'll show you how you can get access to this particular webinar. But we've got some videos on this that really walks you through that process. I would also invite anybody that wants to understand how they can make this more automated to get a hold of us here at TSANet. Be more than happy to walk through how we can customize that experience for you and for your users. And then obviously as an administrator of this account, you can always go in and set up people individually. The last thing we want you to do is to think that you've got to go in and set up hundreds of people in your support center with individual accounts. You don't have to do that. There's ways that we can work with you on getting that done, but there are also some other users, like we were talking about, those program managers, that you might want to have administration capabilities, or maybe you just want to set this person up to only see this relationship. We can really get very granular in the experience that the users have, but in order to do that, you might want to set up other administrators, and that's how you do that with this program manager thing. So we've got videos on that as well. Again, I go back and emphasize, right, don't spend a lot of cycles on this. If you don't have the time, get a hold of us here at TSANet. We'd be more than happy to walk you through that piece of it. The contact document is probably, this is the key piece of it, of the inbound side of this, right? And I do want to show you where you find your contact documents and how you go in and you can edit these things. But this is a really critical part, because this is the user experience when another member company is wanting to engage and work with you. You're telling them how this happens. And the real key to TSANet is let's provide them something beyond just what they could find out over the internet and the web if they went in and searched that. We want to give them a little bit more of a streamlined experience. So because they've got typically they will have one of your customers on the line here. So we're actually talking about your customer's experience through another partner that they would be doing this. And what we've done is we've created this contact document. It's really broken down into 3 sections, right? Which is before you call, which is this is the information I either need or I want to have to streamline that collaboration experience of another member engaging me, right? And that's in this section over here on the right. You're going to see before you call with the explanation point and what's required and what's optional. And then contact. How do you want them to contact you? And we've provided several different ways for you to do that. It could be email, it could be a phone call, it could be through an automated system, different ways. But basically what you want to do is basically provide them that engagement path. Case exchange is something else that they would see on that if you're involved in case exchange, which is basically the electronic way for you to be able to engage other members. That's also a possibility here. What we find as a best practice is give at least 2 different methods for that other member to be able to engage you regardless of what relationship. Even if it's just a simple one-to-one relationship, still provide those 2 different paths to do that. And then you also want to provide an escalation path, which is down at the very bottom. Typically, we like to have a person or persons associated in that escalation path, because this means that they're contacting you because something's gone wrong. So something didn't work in that contact method up above. So now what you really need to do is you've got to get a hold of somebody, or at least use somebody to get this call through and get something done. So each of these are required fields when you do a new contact document, but very easy to edit, and I'm going to show you how you do that. Again, one thing that I should probably mention is that for a new contact document, you need to get a hold of us, because we're the only ones on the TSANet staff side that can create new documents. Once you create that document, then you can go in and edit any document in the system, and that's what I'll show you as well. Internal notes is something that some companies are starting to embrace, and I wish we had more companies to do this. I'm going to show you again at the end of this how this works, but this is basically a really, really neat section that those companies that have used this are using it very well. And what it is an internal note to people on your side, so nobody else sees this from another company, but can guide them through the experience of working with another company before the contact document. So if you've got different relationships with these companies, maybe it's outside of the scope of TSANet, or even if it's in the scope of TSANet, maybe it's for this particular product set, maybe something that you need to do beforehand. You can actually guide your user through documents, or actually through just a simple text field that says, this is something you need to consider before you engage this company. It's an internal note. Again, it's not something that anybody else outside of your company sees, but it can be a really effective tool that you can use to help provide a very streamlined path for your users to be able to engage and work with another member company. Again, it's something that administrators only see for the setup piece of it, but then obviously everybody sees that. And there's several different paths and several different areas that you can use internal notes. Specifically, the one that I see used more than anywhere else is right before you get to the contact document. When you click on that particular member company, then you can guide that user through an experience of specifics of whatever they needed to understand about engaging and working with that other company. Okay, and again, I'm going to show you how you set this up. So we did want to cover this, right, regarding relationships. One of the things that we've really strived to do within TSANet is we've gotten larger, and we were just talking before this call, we're well over 500 companies that are now part of this alliance. Not all of those companies are part of what we call the large groups, or the open groups of basic and premium. Those are the large ecosystems that allow you to engage anybody that's part of that. And what we've really strived to do over the years is made it very easy for you to set up a relationship with that other company, regardless of what group they are part of. So as you're aware, we've got this concept of this open group where you've got the large ecosystems of basic and premium, and then you've also got these custom groups where you can go in and specify that these are the companies that I want to work with, or I want to set up relationships, whether it be a one-to-one or a one-to-many or a many-to-many with all these other companies. You can do that through this peer and partner group of custom groups. But what we've then done is, because everybody's under the same legal infrastructure and same operational structure, we've made it very easy for you to set up a relationship with another company that you may not have. So when you go into the directory, if you're going to see companies that are be highlighted in blue that you do have a relationship with, and those that you don't have a relationship with. And when you click on that company that's not highlighted, it will come up with this message that you see over here on the right-hand side that says, I'm sorry, but this company isn't somebody that you have a relationship with. But if you want to invite them into a relationship, you can do that. When you click on that button, that sends something to TSANet staff. And since we know the people in the database, we can go into that company and say, hey, we just got a request from this other company. They want to set up a relationship with you. We've got this custom group experience now down to a science. They can either upgrade into an open group that you might be a part of. That's one way to get them in. Or we can create another custom group and pull them into either an existing custom group or even a new custom group. Very easy to do. We can do these things actually within hours. If set up within the database and getting that set up for you. So I want to emphasize that this is a really easy way for you to add to your support infrastructure without having to go through and creating separate CSAs and all that. This is something that we're seeing a lot of companies start to embrace now, is this whole concept of custom groups. That's spiking our membership up to well over 500 members. So before you go down another path, at the very least, look at TSANet is the way to get companies into the groups. Paul, you got anything else you want to add to that particular piece of it?
No, I just emphasize as well is we tend to find that this also drives the experience from your support engineers, right? So if they're logging in the system and they're not able to collaborate with a partner they want to collaborate with, that drives a negative experience. So there's opportunity to make sure that that doesn't happen with your support engineers through this.
Okay, very good. The reporting piece of this is available to administrators. If you actually go in and look at the very top bar, I'll show you where this is at. We do have that capability in there. I want to emphasize, and we've done this for years, right? We don't know if you've actually placed a call through the traditional TSANet where you use the member web and you see maybe a contact number or send me an email. All we know is that engineer's gone in there and viewed that document. Now we can get granular to know if you've got multiple departments, where they went to and that kind of thing, and if they were on the page for a certain amount of time and we assumed that a call was placed. We can also show you who is logged into the system from either a group login perspective or an individual login perspective. So you can go back, this is really good, you can go back and look to see, right, who is actually using the system and who's logged into it. But until you get into something like Case Exchange, where we're actually allowing that electronic process, whether it be between CRM systems or using the member web, we don't really know that a call was placed. So we can give you some statistics here, but that doesn't necessarily provide an accurate result of whether it was used on both the, I see a lot of calls that were placed to me, or I don't see any calls that were placed to me. Because once an engineer actually looks at that process, we don't know necessarily whether they actually went back to TSANet to do it or not. But the other key piece of this is the document review, and it actually show you the last time somebody went in and viewed a document from an administration perspective. And again, I want to emphasize, so important for you to keep these documents up to date and really easy to do. But we've got some reporting capabilities. Again, this is something that we can help you out with as well. Training your teams, I mentioned before, when it comes to looking at these contact documents and doing these kind of things, don't spend any cycles if you don't want to use us. That's why you're a member of this organization, right? Is we're here to help you. That's why you joined into an alliance of a not-for-profit company, is for us at TSANet to be able to help you. And what we've seen most effective in doing this is actually co-branding some of the stuff that we can do for you. So you can either provide that training directly to your members, or you can let us help you provide that training directly to the members. And there's several different links that we've got up here. We've also got some new stuff on our new public website that I'm going to show you here in a second. But again, I think the emphasis here is let us help do this for you, right? We've even done videos for companies, short videos that to help that user experience. And again, this, if you're going to get your use out of TSANet, this has got to be part of it, where your users understand what it is and how to use it. So I want to emphasize this as well. This is part of that new thing that we've just done with the website. You can get to this actually through the public side without logging in, or once you log in, you'll see the member help section. And this is something that we're currently developing. This is something Paul's been working on quite a bit here lately. But it's broken down basically into these three areas of onboarding, adoption, and expansion. If you're new to TSANet, you're going to see some things under the onboard section about, what can you do to be more effective in your use of TSANet. The adoption is going to go into things like custom groups. How can you do more things with TSANet? And the expansion then is maybe I want to host my own group and things like that. Paul, you want to talk a little bit about this? I know you're still working on pieces of it.
Yeah, so as you said, we kind of broke these down into different sections. So new to TSANet, it's not just onboarding a new member. It could be you as an individual are new to TSANet, so kind of quickly get you up to speed. And then adoption, you'll find a lot of things here, best practices, how do you really get the usage up, and then expand, as Dennis indicated. We start to look at partner programs, start to look at Case Exchange, start to look at solution support. So that's really where we see the members that are getting high usage are really doing a lot of things in that expand area.
All right, excellent. So, and this is something that we're working on. So obviously, any feedback you can provide would also be useful to us as well. I actually spent quite a bit of time. I thought we'd be over with this a little bit earlier, but we covered a lot of territory. The last piece I want to do on this before we go to any questions would be, I do want to take you into the website, and I've logged in here as an administrator, and I just want to show you where some of these things are. Obviously, your directory is here, but from an administration perspective, if you're looking at maybe getting into that contact document, that kind of thing, right up here in the admin area, if I click on that, right, then in the sub menu down here is I'm going to see several different things. One, I won't go into it right here, but this is where under company you can go in and add users if you want to do that. The other area that I want to dive into just a little bit here is this contact document. And in this case, many companies have got multiple contact documents. I'm going to go into this particular open group document here. So if you've got multiple contact documents, they're going to show up here. But basically, this is a contact document. And then down below, you're going to see the preview section of this. So as I edit this document, it's actually going to do it right on the fly here, and I'm going to be able to see how those edits are taking place. Up here, you're going to see this area of support hours, which you can change. And you can expand on these. You cannot change anything in the applies to area. That's something on the TSANet staff side. But the custom preparations requirements, again, that's going to be this area before you call. You can see here is just a series of check marks where you can add requirements. Down here, your contact information, right? Again, I'm not going to dive deep into this here, but it's pretty easy, free-form text fields. And then obviously you got your escalation that you can change, and then you want to save that document. So that's up here in this area up here under administration. And I wanted to point that out to you again. There's some videos on this that we've done on how to change your contact document. Again, so important for you to keep that contact document up to date. So let me go and see if there's any questions. We're almost out of time here, but if there's any questions for anybody, or Paul, did you want to add anything to what we've done here?
Yeah, actually, the other area we just might want to cover real quick is the groups. So that's something we fairly recently added, right? So if you go under the groups tab, that will show you all the custom groups that you have configured. So if you're, part of certain custom groups, you've got certain technology partner programs there, you'll get all the information related to those groups. So that's kind of in that expand area. So as you work with us and expand this to a particular technology partner program or solution support, you'll see all those partner groups there.
And that reminds me of the other area I didn't show, and I want to do this real quickly, is the internal notes and how you do that. So if I go over here, I'm just going to go into Actian, which is actually one of the shortcuts that this particular user's got up here. But this is where I can go in here, and you see this as an administrator. I see this add internal company notes, and I can go in here and add text, or I could add a file if I wanted to. And then again, only that would show up for the users of this company. So I've again seen this very effectively used. Okay, I don't think we have any questions. I haven't seen anybody come up with anything, and we're just about out of time anyway. So I want to really thank everybody. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. We covered a lot of territory. Again, I'll go back on behalf of Paul and myself and Stephanie. If you want to get a hold of membership at tsanet.org, if you've got any questions that we can help you out with, we certainly are here to assist our members. So with that, we'll close it down, and thank you very much for your attendance. We appreciate it very much. So long, everybody.